Hello, hello.
Hello,
Up here.
hello up here.
So, welcome back to the Off-Grid Dev Stream. It's me, Rich Metzen, and we've got Lauri Love.
Hello.
We're here doing the kind of follow-on from earlier, where we are modding Milliways, and it's the middle of Whiskey Leaks right now, so we're going to do whiskey-themed modding. We're going to try and throw together some characters having a whiskey or two, and we're just generally going to mess around with off-grid mods and chat shenanigans.
Yeah.
And see where we go from there. So if you're stumbling across this stream for the first time, I make a game called Off-Grid. It's a hacking game. Milliways are a hacking village at a hacker conference called CCCamp or CCCamp or Chaos Communication Camp.
Yeah, there's three and a half C's in the Schrodinger's C.
And we're generally just going to make sort of fun hacker-related gameplay as a mod that kind of pulls everything Milliways together. So, yeah, stick around, jump in the chat, ask us questions. I'm here and able to answer on the chat. There you go, there's me saying hello. Whether you're on Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, you can get hold of us. Yeah, and just feel free to ask any questions. So I guess the thing that we were going to start off doing a bit of was I've got this. Where is it? Just a sec. Oh, that might be why that's broken.
What?
This screen recorder thing. I think I've worked out why the GIF recording wasn't working.
Okay.
I think we've got it captured here.
Yeah.
And so that's messing about with it.
It's jammed your jimmies.
Yeah. So, I've got to work out how I want to deal with that first.
Extreme violence.
It's very strange though. That thinks it's Google Hangouts, but it's actually a Unity tool. Bizarre. Well, let's get rid of that. Oh, I see. Actually, it's just picking up anything through Firefox. Okay, that's not the problem either.
That was when you were trying to redirect me through the twisty maze of twisty passages that is Essex.
Luckily, I haven't disclosed our location because this one is the one that's live
good,
currently.
Yeah. So, maze of twisty passages in an undisclosed location in Antarctica.
Let me just close that down. Right, so, I mean, here's the Milliways mod that we were messing about in earlier. Here's not enough whiskey, frankly.
Yeah.
So we'll
Send us virtual whiskey if you
fix that up.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look as impressive in the editor here as it does when it's being played through, but we've got some errors to fix before we can get that far.
Yeah.
So what we're going to switch to before that is getting these recorder things hopefully working.
Timeline missions, yeah.
So with timeline, I've got Darren and March, not Darren and March. I've got Darren and McFly here, animated, having a whiskey or two.
Flying sky high.
Yep. I think in order to just get something onto Twitter ASAP, rather than messing around with this Unity recorder tool, which is clearly broken. It's in preview, which is always basically bad news. I'll use a different GIF to screen recorder, and we will just capture the thingy magic. Maybe we'll make it all a bit bigger. Oh, there we go. We want to put the word Whiskey Leaks in the middle of it first. So I was mucking about with the text here.
Those who don't know, Whiskey Leaks is a very important event at Milliways at any hacker conference or camp where everyone brings their finest top shelf whiskies and we drink them and
their finest bottom shelf leaks.
Bottom shelf leaks, and then we disclose these things to one another, and everyone drinks enough whiskey that no one remembers anything they shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's very good. It's kind of clean up after yourselves, operational security.
Oh, it's obviously in a small bound.
Darren is impervious to text. Cannot defeat me.
What's
with
going
your
on?
It must be foregrounded, but it's not going underneath it, is it? It's just...
I think it's the canvas size.
Okay.
It's meant to be, or it's under the camera, so it should scale to the camera, but yeah, I don't know. I've just thought what we should do, in case Pathfinder does jump into IRC, we should drop into IRC.
Drop a link as well.
Drop a link,
IRC,
yeah.
Oh,
there we go. What's Hoax Psychiatrist? Oh no, that's internal news.
Yeah.
Let's get Pathfinder in here.
Advertising break from my laptop. Messages from our sponsors. Not our sponsors today, basically. It's just the usual things.
Can you put a colon to highlight someone at the end of a sentence, or does it always have to?
Depends on how their client works. I think it's client side, but usually they'll. No, I mean mine will respond to my nickname wherever it is in a sentence.
Yeah. I think on IRC it's only at the beginning.
Yeah, it's not part of the
IRSSI.
Yeah, IRSSI. Yeah. It's not part of the IRC protocol, so it's just a client implemented feature.
Let's try this.
Yeah, we've also elided some letters there.
Oh yes, I did that the other day as well. Yeah. It's a mental.
You got an extra R because of your deep-seated fantasy love affair. So you said tryst instead of tist. I would like a tryst with psychiatrist.
I've always thought it was.
No, it is tryst. It is tryst. Sorry, I just invented that. It will be. Yeah. I think it's because my brain was primed for missing letters, so then it saw an extra one when it was not extra.
That's correct now.
Yeah. It is tryst. Yeah, that makes much more sense.
So, what we do need to do is work out what the heck is going on with this lettering. That's the canvas size. I wonder whether canvas renderer truncate. I haven't looked at any of this stuff. Anchors, scale. I guess we can scale it up. I would have thought probably. Let's change the font size so it's clipped.
Yeah.
And then let's see whether changing. No, that's not doing anything for us. Is it? Oh, or is it? Yeah, it is, just not very much.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, okay. You just need to roll around a million times.
All right. So the screen is probably a bit wider than that. So let's.
That's some zeros, isn't it?
Yeah.
A few decimal places between friends.
Really? I swear we gave ourselves more than that. Maybe offset needs to be. Oh my gosh.
Maybe the centre of it is like right to the left somehow.
Yeah, possibly. This needs to be a lot bigger.
Yeah. Or resist the temptation to do Donald Trump impression.
Bigger.
Like 22. Oh, it was a Zoolander.
Huge.
What is this? A school for ants? It needs to be at least 3 times bigger. What's the use of a school if they can't get inside the door?
I'm gonna have to undo these changes because I've broken it all.
Path needs the Twitch link. I know you have sent it. Is it on Hangouts again? Was the question.
Yeah, we can drop him in. I think the easiest way for me to do that will be to message him here. I need to get away from pictures of myself first.
I want to try the gloves.
Serious business. Let's get Hangouts going. Where's my old doodah? Hangouts.google.com. To switch over to my totally secret profile. That's definitely not linked with anything else. Start a new conversation. Oh, he always jumps into this, so we'll just do it this way. Copy the link to share. And what was it? Oh, there. I guess we could drop that into the Rummery channel in IRC, and then anyone from Rummery can jump in.
Incredibly secret Rummery channel on IRC that doesn't exist.
Right, but yes.
Yeah.
Bonjour.
Hello, how are we?
Yeah. Improving.
Improving.
Good.
Yeah.
You sound.
Work is finished, so improving.
Ah, cool, excellent. Finished forever. Work's done forever.
Well, if only.
It can be arranged.
Well,
if we could just cane off the requirement for income, that would be great. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, if Andrew Yang gets his way, then surely he'll implement UBI globally, and then we won't be worried about America's legal jurisdiction being overreached.
I think it's like in that Field of Dreams, you've got to build it, and they will come. You just start paying everyone this universal income, and then it will just have to be accepted. And just get cryptocurrency. It can be done. We can make it happen.
Yep. Yeah. If only Andrew Yang was smart enough to make all the rest of it work.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, he's got some other ideas. He's had some.
Has he?
Sure, I've heard one or two. Sean's always bigging him up, so I must have had a few bits of.
There are some bits that he seems to be doing right on.
He was on the Chapo Trap House the other day.
Yeah. That's where you want to be if you want to get the cool kids.
So he went on one of the big YouTuber podcasts and earned a lot of brownie points from doing that. The policy that I remember is that he would want to cane off and mass pardon any non-violent green.
That was a good one, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is that would create a non-trivial dent in the current prison population numbers, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was in direct contrast to the lady who was the DA, District Attorney in San Francisco.
Kamala Harris is a cop. She is a cop. She's not a cop, she's a prosecutor. But what's the difference?
A good candidate to start with, and then you go and do a bit of digging. And then
that's what they're sort of counting on you not doing that due diligence.
Yeah, what a shame people sometimes read stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, they rely quite rightly on most people not doing so, though.
I've only got good points for going on Joe Rogan. A lot of people were like, oh yeah, this guy's alright, he's not a mad, crazy communist.
Wrong, though.
Well, yeah, no, he's not. It's also nice of Joe Rogan to broaden his political guests from right-wing to entrepreneurialist.
Yeah, he does touch on things sometimes like that.
Yeah.
A tad.
So, Path, we're trying to make a Whiskey Leaks GIF here, and well, I'm failing really. I kind of, that's about as good as I can get with the text.
That's alright.
Are we looking at?
Can you see on the Twitch?
McFly and
Darren.
Yeah. And a floating whiskey bottle.
The floating whiskey bottle does end up back in a hand at some point.
Yeah. There's a problem with Jake, where Jake's learnt this ability to make his glass levitate rather than gripping it.
So their position means that I need Whiskey Leaks elsewhere, actually, don't I?
Yeah.
It's not going to work in that kind of...
You get it up between the two.
Do you like it, Path?
It's very true to life, isn't it? Like these are pretty much the motions that you get.
Yeah, pretty much. That is my play.
Yeah.
You've got the.
I'm not even sure which one's the real one.
Yeah, the pose and the candor is spot on.
Yeah.
Darren is obviously looking for treasure and or shells.
I don't know what.
Never know when there's a shell about.
Never know. Keep your eyes peeled.
I'm just gonna jump off screen and change my attire again.
Yeah, because you're too hot. Yeah, this is awkward, this whole lettering deal. Maybe I should just put Whiskey Leaks in the background.
It could work. If they're moving around a lot, it will open and close the wording. So for someone to want to, they would focus on that as they move, right?
Yeah, exactly. The problem I have is I actually haven't messed around. I'm not a UI person on the off-grid team, as you might have told by how confused I am by just getting words on the screen here. So I don't even know how to make the words bigger without them clipping. So like I can.
They're not. Are they not SVGs that sort of re-rendered? By clipping, do you mean they go grainy, or what do you mean?
I mean by clipping, I mean they jump off of the canvas. So
that is okay.
Like, well, now I can't even do it. Oh, was it? I haven't even tried the scale button yet. Oh, no, don't want to do that. What?
This whiskey's pretty strong.
That's width, position, height. Yeah, I don't know. I've even lost. Oh, no, it was font size that we were mucking about. So basically, it gets to sort of 122 font size, and then it disappears. And I haven't got any marker for what the canvas should look like. I just know it's not big enough. This is a bit of a pain.
Which program is this that you're using?
It's in Unity, so I'm just trying to. I mean, I could probably just put a rendered plane in the background with a texture or an image that I pull out of GIMP or something, but I was trying to be clever and use the UI in Engine.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're saying that this is a near failed state, I mean, it's a pretty good job so far.
Well, as in just we've got two lizards on screen doing something funny.
Moving appropriately lizard-like.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we could just make Whiskey Leaks smaller instead of bigger, and then it's not a problem, really. Just put Whiskey Leaks right up in the corner.
And shuffle McFly over a bit, can you?
Yeah, probably can.
You know what? I don't know what is possible here, right? But given Darren's movements in this GIF, could you have Whiskey Leaks move so that he is constantly trying to track it?
Well, now we have a challenge.
Yeah. It's doable in principle. We just
you see what he's doing there?
Yeah. So,
that reminds
not
me,
impossible.
Just in case. You know what I mean?
Right.
It reminds me of those things you could get in the 90s for your desktop that had like little, cats rolling around or little eyeballs that would track where your mouse cursor was.
Just like gifs of ants crawling all over the webpage.
That was the height of computing. That and the spinning, the dancing baby. It's all downhill after that.
The Ooga Chagga.
Yeah.
I had Bonsai Buddy. That was the thing.
If I remember.
And it took up so much memory. MSN Messenger.
Well, MSN Messenger was kind of. I heard a Radio 4 did a documentary on it and how it was like a cultural kind of watershed in a way because of all of the silly things you could put in your profile name and emoji evolutions and a lot of people kept it running actually after Microsoft shut it down. Some guy like reverse engineered the protocol and kept MSN alive for a good 10 years.
Is this the one where there was something similar? I can't remember. I think maybe I'm thinking of the AOL one, but there was one that had some archaic system where you couldn't even define your own username, but it was still up, and there was still servers, and people who knew about it would continue on this thing for. I'm going to find more information about it. Does this ring a bell with anyone?
Yeah, I think that.
And there was no username. Were in this group chat of whatever it was. I don't know if this was the same one.
I think you could always set your username because that was one of the big things in MSN, that you could put so much gunk into your display name that it became like a whole art form, a bit like MySpace profiles became their own art form.
In 1,000 years, when they are trying to do the equivalent of digging up ancestors,
yeah,
and they found IRC and they have found Slack, and they need the missing link. It is epic.
It'll be there. Yeah, we need to document it, otherwise they won't understand what how
How do
civilization
you go from
crumbled.
that, like this makes no sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've worked out how to do this. So what we want to do is take Whiskey Leaks from down there by Darren's waist up to the top left-hand corner.
Yeah, and it's got to be in a space of what? Like
this many frames. I've got it recording at the minute.
Yeah.
So what we
you can't you can't rigidize like an invisible line from Darren's glasses and then connect Whiskey Leaks to it.
I mean that would be optimal, but
that's just
you're talking about the difference between a canvas which is rendered on the screen and Darren who's rendered in 3D world. So
they're stuck in a flat world. It's pretty good that they can drink in this like two-dimensional world that they're trapped in.
Let's see whether we can animate colour at the same time. That would be good if possible.
So, given the protagonists of this particular piece of media, I'm pretty sure you could put them in any number of dimensions and they would find the ability to do this.
They've probably already raised it to 8, I think.
You put them in 1D and all they will be talking about is the positioning of the plane so that the liquid rolls towards them. That will be it.
Definitely. Icing model of Whiskey Leaks.
I'm not certain this is going to work. It's letting me add keys, but the text isn't actually moving with those keys.
Just gonna have to do it frame by frame. I'll cancel work tomorrow.
And it's amazing if we get this far, and yet we still end up, even in the digital interface we have here, we have to go back to frame by frame stop animation.
Oh yeah. You always got to regress at some point.
Oh yeah!
Now it's more like he's. That's good actually.
It's going before he moves his head, so he's like, "What the hell is happening?"
If he was making it move with the power of his mind.
Pathfinder, it's going to have like a 10-second delay for you, I think, because of the stream. Like
I've
always.
just started.
I think we have to then change the colour to purpley colour.
Yeah.
Add another key for that.
Can we put an arbitrary background on this? Nice. Yeah.
So right, it's got a zoom through past him to there.
Yeah. So what we're now doing like a hockey stick shape or something.
I guess it's gonna go. Like we want it to sort of hover there for a minute, don't we?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and then it's gonna go just before that. It's gonna be hovering here. So add a key. This is going to be one of the best gifts I've ever made. I've got a weird feeling.
Yeah. This is the Steamboat Willie of the 21st century. We'll be fighting for the copyright for this in 100 years. No, you can't have it. It's ours.
Steamboat whiskey.
Yeah, Steamboat whiskey. Getting steaming boat whiskey.
Right, so that's hovering nicely. Then it's going to fly down to there. It's got to be down there before
pretty quick.
he's got to go.
There's obviously a shell down there in the bottom. Right? It's caught his eye glimmering little shell right there.
What colour is it going to from purple? And are we going to rotate it or make it do anything a bit crazier? I mean, you want it to be legible most of the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what's going to be really funny is Darren's going to be paying attention to this thing and McFly's just going to be looking dead straight on like it's not there.
Flying. Well, he's deep in thought about some auger. Got some auger to do. I think after a few swigs, I think the text might have to blur out. If that can be done.
We can. Oh, how it bounces up.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Pong. You want to get a little pong bounce off it.
Yeah, I mean, instead of blurring out, we can do that thing where I got the scale wrong and it just kind of went all weird. So I wonder whether Whiskey Leaks at that point should sort of flip onto its side and creep up.
Yeah, that makes good use of the vertical space.
Let's key in the rotation there. Oh, that's
Could you
rotating on X.
Okay, so I don't know if this might work, but could we have it? Is it possible? So you see how the angle of his head is further off canvas. Could we, if we had the whiskey leaks hit the bottom, as if that side of the image is where gravity is?
Yeah.
And it like you just like the delays here, right? But like you just folded it up like that. Is that the plan? So it sort of hits it and then
did that
falls
by
over.
mistake. Actually, the folding. I was actually just trying to spin it on its side, which you might see in a moment.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
I mean, the thing is, oh no, I've forgotten to rotate the rest of it, so I have to change. Put that back on 0. I mean, to be honest, it's probably best not to try too hard at this because if we try too hard, it'll look bad. Whereas if we rush it in, it'll just do what it does. So it goes up to here.
There you go.
Jumps down to there, whack, and then I want it to sort of slide up.
Yeah.
Once it's gone to there, so he kind of goes, what? To there. Yeah, so slide upwards from there. I guess we need to just make sure that this key is keyed in on position as well. Really? Add key.
Oh yeah, that's what this is.
Is Whiskey Leaks on today or is it tomorrow?
It's right now. Yeah, they're leaking as we speak.
Oh, I might try and get Skypes in.
I bet they are. That is why I've not been able to get hold of them.
I know. I've been trying to do the same because I kind of wanted. I figured like this is the only way we'll get hold of them is by beaconing with a mad kid. Right. So gonna get that to creep up the. No, that's wrong. That's also wrong. I think that's actually working quite well already.
Yeah.
So it's from here, it's going to stand still and then it's going to have to whip across the screen again.
Yeah.
So before he reacts, it needs to go. So about here.
Yeah. Picture of CCCamp.
Could it whip across and flip to the other side?
Yeah. As in.
So it rotates 180.
Rotate 180 vertically. So it sort of almost mirrors itself.
Yeah, so if it, as it whips across the other side, it rotates back to standard plane, 90 degrees, and then turns the other side as it hits the other side.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
So
the S is coming. Oh yeah. But
is it going to take off?
Yeah.
Down.
It's going to take off, and as it takes off, it flips back to being the right way up. And then when it hits the wall, it flips back to being vertical again.
I love that you're gesturing at the same time as you talk. It's like Pathfinder seeing your movements a good 10 seconds after your speech.
So
well, he can respond in 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm still gesturing, and there's no camera on me at all, so don't worry about it. Yeah, I think I don't know because it would flip and it would 90 back to normal, and then a further 90 to hit the other wall. And then what we have to do is work out whether Darren is seeing Whiskey Leaks because it exists, or Darren is simply seeing Whiskey Leaks. Part of Whiskey Leaks.
I think the latter most likely. This is going to be funny. What's...
Nice. It's remarkably fluent, actually.
I don't know whether this is what you're intending, Path, but to be honest, it's slightly out of my control anyway, as it stands.
The art is just coming through.
I love how this is all going on and McFly's
just like, a bit of whiskey.
Yeah, McFly doesn't know about this, and Darren's saying, "Are you seeing this?" And he's just going on.
Seeing what?
I'll catch up.
He's saying something about words. I don't really know. Yeah, camp would have been a good thing.
Well, we had other responsibilities and we have taken care of them.
I'm taking my responsibility as an international fugitive very seriously. Got a second passport.
Exactly, EMF.
EMF will be good.
Smoker will be at EMF. Lauri and I just enjoyed some of the Smoker's finest product.
Lovely, yeah. It's beautiful.
Very good.
I've got a concept for a new dome for the next EMF camp. It's a nice cardboard 3D printed dome. Where do I put this?
We're gonna have to add some like weird visual effects on top of this this lettering to just make it additionally psychedelic.
Yeah. If you can see this part, if you so it's like
it's pretty bright. Yeah, unlikely.
No, okay. It's like a 3D, like CAD CNC printed cardboard tubes of all different sizes that you puzzle together into a nice hemisphere dome. I just don't know how much faffing about. It's all cable tied, so it's easy to make, but putting together might be. I don't think it'd be that much harder than the Milliways thing, because that's a good 10-person faff about, isn't it?
It depends. I mean, are they all numbered? Are you packing them up, or are you putting them on site?
Yeah, but it depends how many arrangements are equivalent. I think they might have to be, but it's row by row. So if you just number the bottom rows, and you store them, sequentially. Nice.
I like how it's just changing colour when it moves.
Yeah.
So,
is that happening because of the keys? Or is
I'm just keying the colour only when it moves.
Nice. That's very, very good how quickly you can knock this together, actually.
Unfortunately, we've run out of new colours, so I'm going to have to repeat colours at some point.
We have used all 3 colours that humankind has invented in this 60 million colour display.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
On the rainbow. Of the 7 colours that I can define.
Yeah. Well, you just need to have a bit more whiskey leaks, and then you'll see a few more dimensions of colour. That's good.
Maybe it maybe needs to be a bit faster. That last set of keys needs to get there faster. I wonder whether I can move keys. Oh, not easily.
You can only move keys if you are the chosen one.
So he it flips up, and then it kind of goes behind McFly somehow. That's going to be difficult.
Yeah. Well, what you need to change the foreground level layering, whatever it is. White for the shots.
Oh, nice. That's probably not what we want, but oh well.
Speaking of things that are only happening in my head, it's going to be a new Matrix film. Just came to mind because I was
just thinking
chat about the chosen one because Donald Trump's there. Might have to have
Exactly.
a Donald Trump versus Neo kind of Matrix showdown. Sure, that can be arranged.
What would Donald Trump learn the entirety of in 3 seconds?
I see. If he was plugged
I
into
know
the
Kung Fu. What would Donald Trump do?
I don't know if he has anything to learn. He's a very strong and stable genius. They put the machine on him, and the machine would be like, already full. cannot download more.
The Donald is full of it, unfortunately.
I think you just negotiate a really good deal with the machines. Well, that's actually how. Yeah, sorry, spoilers there.
The machines will pay for their own downfall.
That's the only way.
We're gonna make the machines pay for it.
I don't know. You don't want to give too much attention to Trump in such a film, but I think maybe you could do something like a section where Neo is flying through the air. Yeah. At one point, he would just, as you see the scenery go past, you can see a Trump rally, and he just bursts through him, but only very quickly.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Like in the clones of Agent Smith, but they're all wearing the MAGA caps, and just like, out the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I can. Sadly, I can't key the font size.
There's an Ents has come on chat on the other secret thing that doesn't exist, so I'm going to ask him if he's at WhiskeyLeaks. We're rendering its GIF.
Oh, come on, scale. Scale up and down. Oh, no, come on. That's not what we're doing here.
Maybe telepresence robots have gotten affordable in the last few years. £1,000,
no. Duct tape, iPad / other tablet thing.
It's the autonomous piloting, so I don't want to hijack a human meat suit necessarily. I'd like to have autonomous thing. But there's I'm sure someone can get a remote control vehicle that I can pilot by packets, and then it's just a broomstick and a pad. That could probably be knocked up before the end of camp.
Someone had knocked together one of the robots from Short Circuit, like a smaller version of it.
Yes.
But underneath the sort of eyes that move would be the Lauri on screen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you could do that.
I keep meaning to build one, and then I get distracted by various things. Sub-juicy.
Alternatively, simply broadcast face to all devices within the area.
No, it's true actually. Yeah, that could be done.
Could also do.
Yeah. What the badges? What quality of audio thing is it? Because I've only heard chip tunes out of it, but could you do a sort of voice thing if you hacked it up well?
I haven't. What for the camp badge? I don't know.
Okay, I think they've just got maybe an 8-bit or 16-bit audio gubbins on it.
So the EMF till the most recent badge had a somewhat viable. Like it was small, but you'd be able to increase if you added separate power to it. You'd be able to increase the input output for the mic and audio on that. But it had a speaker kind of thing on it.
Yeah, I mean it had a phone, so it definitely had enough audio to do a phony type.
Yeah, it was from testing the levels were quite low, but it would be quite good to boost that. All the right there.
It'd be good to be there in many devices at once. Go ghost in the camp shell. I think it's like a solid chance somebody's hacked the badges already. I think that was definitely a side project that some of the lizards were planning on.
what type of breakage has occurred on them?
I don't know. I did check for the tweets for it, but it was mostly people excited about getting them and less excited about queuing for them. So I think it's early days yet. But it's runs Python, so you can probably social engineer people into running things relatively easily if there isn't an obvious hole. What are they even called again? Card 10, is it, or something? Badge 10?
The badge?
Yeah.
I don't know, I haven't actually looked at any of the spec or anything.
It's in one of my millions of terms at the moment. Card 10, there you go. Oh yeah, this is what you do. You just upload a useful library to GitHub for everyone to make a fun thing on their badge, and you just put a little bit of hidden functionality in that. You just say, hey, this is normal now. It's the Node ecosystem. Everything is hacked.
Well, as a Unity user, I can attest to basically running anything anyone puts on an asset store.
Just make an application. There must be some kind of either screen or lighting on these badges, right? Make a camp-based. They have the in something like speed dating things.
Yeah,
I've been made aware of some system where you have this color t-shirt if you're this or that color, or you wear this kind of badge. Just make one that changes based on whatever.
Yeah.
And put your code in that code. Yeah, this is the CCCamp.
Yeah. You just
internal
need to make
Tinder.
Grind a Tinder based on the lights, and then a bit of swiping or a bit of profile compatibility. Yeah. That could be knocked together easily enough. People love that. Or those. Do you remember that game you used to play in school where you'd write your names and then you'd put numbers for the letters, and then you'd do this gematria digital, you'd add the digits together and then reduce it down, and then you'd get a percentage compatibility. People love those sort of things. Anything that you put into people and you get out some randomized number.
Yeah.
Randomized prophecy. People love those. Yeah, okay. That'll go down like a box of cookies.
So I'm hopeful that the average participant in CCCamp wouldn't take those numbers seriously and question their genuine relationship based on the answer. But I have seen
it's plausible
in the general population.
Yeah. I think you could do some serious engineering of the population with a bit of this.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to think back, and apparently I increased the divorce rate in Berlin. How did that happen?
I do worry about that though. I mean, there are some very unaccountable algorithms that are basically conducting eugenics based on matching people, and I think at the very least they should be publicly published and ensure that there isn't any accidental biases that might be considered slightly wrong.
I would have thought that the most obvious one would be quite tribal, right? The most obvious one would be quite tribal, just matching people who are the same rather than matching people who are different.
Yeah. But they could be doing all sorts of stuff in the background that you don't know, not necessarily maliciously, but just
mistake.
I think algorithms might have a natural tendency to become a bit like food rots. I think software becomes evil just by a process of entropy. I think that's.
Oh crap! That's not right. It's bad to start with.
You just got to maintain it continuously for the rest of your life, otherwise you'll unleash havoc on the world. It's fine. It's all good. At the very very best, it becomes like space junk, and it will randomly destroy something of far greater value, like a bit of an old satellite. Oh, like India, we're going to take something into space and then blow it up just for the crack, just for the lols. Thanks, guys. That's really great what you did there. I think maybe the US started it by nuking the moon. Although, did that happen? Because I had a bit of a Mandela effect on that, and I checked on it the other day, and apparently they didn't nuke the moon. They just did a kinetic impact, and it wasn't that exciting.
Well, someone released micro bears onto the moon.
Tardigrades. Oh, yes, little moss bears.
Moss bear, there you go.
Yeah.
So at some point, depending on how how well they do and how well they might evolve over time if they're left. We might have to nuke the moon anyway.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Or
we turn up in 10 years'
nuking
time.
The moon will have a Godzilla effect.
Yeah, or maybe that's exactly what they need. They're just waiting for a bit of gamma radiation, and they'll figure out how to process the moon rock, and then we won't have anything to do but send Donald Trump up there to negotiate with them. I'm the chosen one. I will go to the moon and talk to the tardigrades, and we'll make them pay for the space station.
Well,
I know
he was going to talk to them. He was going to talk to them, but they did not sell the moon. So he cancelled his trip.
What do you mean I can't have the moon? What? Well, space is a stupid place anyway. I'm not going to nasty space.
I was going to the moon, but then I found out it was silly, nasty moon.
We should at least get some sponsorship money from one of the parties. I don't know which one.
Moss bears are great. I talked to a lot of them. Very smart bears.
Some of my best friends are mouse bears.
Oh, cool. Someone's done some cool games already.
We are getting here with this animation. Well, go on, Path. What were you going to say?
All joking aside, if somebody... so essentially it seems that Trump is in some form of self-created Malthusian space, right? If we don't put a stop to it, he would make the moon a golf course. And that is something that we have to think about, because no one stopped him being president, right?
That's true.
That was unforeseeable.
You
can't say...
Would turfing the entire moon be such a bad thing for Keynesian economics?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
are we going to make the moon a national park? It is pretty much like... who was it that did the national parks? Was it Roosevelt?
It sounds like a Roosevelt-y thing.
It'd be Trump's Roosevelt moment. Would be turning the entire moon into a big golf park.
Right, we need to get Steve Miller on the next dev chat, and I'm going to mute this to him.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't have started it, because it was actually Apollo 11 or 12 that they got the golf clubs out. Was it the first one? Was it Buzz and your one, Neil?
Neil.
Or was it one of the next ones that got the golf club out and had a little swing?
It's got to be one of the next ones.
Yeah, because that wouldn't have been one of the top priority. Yeah, it wouldn't be like, okay, we need to get you on the moon. There's a good chance you'll die. It's going to cost millions. And then when you're down there, I want you to hit a golf ball, and we're going to see how far it goes.
Well, can you imagine if the golf club had been a reason for breaking up on landing or something? Yeah, bad idea, guys.
Golf club jammed into the accelerator pedal. No, we were supposed to stop thrusting.
Turns out the weighting golf balls entirely offset the aerodynamics of the craft.
I'm sure something equally silly has happened, and it's like nearly cost emission.
Josh says the screen is just white this end. Does that mean I've broken something, or... Josh, let me know in the chat. I've only just looked at the chat. I've seen you laughing a lot. That means we're saying funny things at least. We might just be doing a podcast at this stage with a white screen in front of us.
Let me load up Twitch and see what one happens.
I'm seeing it on Twitch. It seems alright on Twitch for me.
Yeah, it was Pathfinder Psychic.
Oh, he was talking about your laptop was just...
Oh, I see, when I was trying to show you the dome. Yeah, just imagine a dome made out of lots of little cardboard tubes, really.
Imagine a bee hotel. You know those bee hotels that are made out of sugar cane sticks?
Yeah, bug hotels, yeah.
But for humans and dome shaped.
Pretty much that. Or just imagine something even cooler that I didn't show you.
That's the power of imagination. That's number one.
Oh, that was good. People did try and work it out, and some people had some
theories
deep
for number wang
forum about number wang.
Yeah,
and
it was definitely a code. Like the whole of that comedy show was a pretext to communicate with some spies in the former Soviet Union. I saw it cool.
I mean, maybe it's my bias based on the character that he played in Peep Show, but I can't imagine Jeremy actually being part of any kind of code or spy games at all.
But that's just sign of a really good spy. You would never,
play.
you would never.
Yeah, you turn around. There's no way that guy. Like this is the contender, Chuck Barris, but the person who was one of the founding individuals within the Gong Show, like the first America's Got Talent, the Gong Show, and he turned out and said, "Oh, by the way, no, you know all me. Well, turns out I'm a CIA assassin." And they went, "No, you're not." And then there's this. They made a film about him with Sam Rockwell, might be the actor's name, but no one would turn around. Oh yeah, the drunk guy from the Gong Show. Yeah, he was a CIA assassin. That was real.
So he actually said it on the show as a kind of like limited
pretext.
No, he came out after the show had gone away, I think, but had said he had been recruited as an assassin for the CIA, and they said the whole point of being an assassin is that nobody knows who you are. You can sort of move around the place. You go, well, some of them weren't. They were famous people who could get into places. And you go, yeah, but you're drunk all the time.
But it's a good way of quitting your job
like camouflage.
If you work for the CIA and you don't, you can't be bothered having a meeting about, asking to quit. You can just go on television and say, "I'm a CIA agent." So then you get a long holiday after that, or disappeared. Who else? The guy who wrote a book inspired by Gary McKinnon and my biographies. What's his name? Frederick Forsyth. He was a MI6 chap. Yeah. So, he was out in Africa, I think it was. And I also
I've never got to the bottom of what John le Carré's background is, but
which one's
I had thought John le Carré, author.
Oh right, yeah.
I was sure I'd read something to do with his background being a similar thing.
He went to a public school, so
he is definitely a spy.
One of the BBC Home Affairs correspondents used to cover my court cases occasionally. I think his dad was a spy because they lived in Ethiopia. I was wearing a Lion of Judah t-shirt when he came to interview me once in Bury St Edmunds. He was like, "Do you know what that is on your t-shirt?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah." And he says, "Yeah, but do you know where it's from?" It's from the coat of arms of Haile Selassie. I was like, "Oh yeah, how do you know that?" He's like, "I met him once. My dad used to go around there." Like,
used to go round there.
Used to go round and just hang out with the Emperor of Ethiopia. So yeah, that was probably some sort of MI6 shenanigans. Actually, I got some more Rasta garb, but it's a bit too warm, isn't it? This is my Kill Bill costume.
Your ventilated legs, but full on.
Full on wall on the
top side.
It's the kind of thing that would be cool to wear in a club, but unless the club is somewhere in the Arctic, it's not going to work for very long.
Okay, so what we need to do is we need to make this loopable now. We need to get this back around.
So you've got to match it to a start frame again.
Yeah.
Can you not just copy the first keyframe?
It's not quite that straightforward. What I need to do is just he's facing forward, and I need to copy it around so that he's back to facing forward again.
Yeah. Or you just reverse the polarity on
the other option.
So many.
Oh, hang on, that's where it is. Nearly.
Oh. What am I going to do this weekend? Late to straight.
I don't think I'll ever get both of them looping. Although actually, no, McFly's on hold there. I don't want him on hold.
Sure, you could do like a really trolly one where it looks like it loops in 3 seconds, but then it does 3 or 4 loops, and then Darren just does something weird while McFly's doing the same thing, and he just like, messes with people's heads a bit.
I think we're kind of there.
You just want to watermark a slow scrolling thing in the background with a very common name, so people think, wait, are they actually like Hello John?
Yeah.
This is far more polished than any of the daft videos I've ever tried to put together.
Well, this is the problem with being a perfectionist. It's like this should have been done bloody ages ago, really. We've just got one more sweep to do. So, gonna go from there over to there.
I'll do some more vicarious camp stalking. Blinking lights. 23 megabytes long-term evolution. 4G. I don't think I've had 23 megabytes download in my life. I live in the countryside. You know. We have BT Infinity, and I get about 2 megabits. So.
We do all right on down here, but up is 0.9.
Well, that's not ideal when you're
Clamped.
streaming.
Yeah, so that's why the 10-second delay happens.
But you know, I can still remember using a 44k modem, so like, you'll
Yeah.
always be spoiled. If you live through the 90s, you'll
True
always be
enough.
spoiled. Although there were still some IRC networks where my connection wouldn't drop, even though my parents had picked up the phone, had a short phone call with someone. I'd been cursing because the modem had lost the carrier, redialed quickly, and I'd still been on IRC.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was some network with a massive ping, so your IP address wouldn't change. You just like pick up the it would require the IRC network not to ping you, and it would require the TCP, whatever thing to be not that low a keep a lifetime. That, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's it. I think we're there.
Yeah, okay.
As long as we've got enough colours in there.
Cut print. Are we?
Yeah, I think we. So should we have a quick gander at it?
Yeah. Is it going to render in that black and white, or is it going to put some?
It'll put colours on them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be a blank background still. Ah, nice. Yeah. That's just to make it quicker while you're animating. What would be good in a background? Does it need a background? It would make the text harder to read unless it was a.
No, I think it's probably better without the background.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a bit silly, but
that's what we're going for. At no point have we aimed to not be a bit silly, as I recall. Just been sometimes taken definitely seriously.
all right. Let's get this recorded and onto the internet. What have I done? What the? Just. Would you please? There we go. Oops. No, that's not what we're doing. Right, get my trusty screen gift tool.
This is scalable.
What I'm going to use to capture.
Nice. That's pretty good actually.
It's going to make something too big.
Hands on Linux.
I don't know actually. I think it might just be a Windows tool.
Maybe something.
If you have terrible hardware that I, for some reason, still continue to keep alive, I don't know why, but GIF creation on Linux can be very easily done with FFmpeg. Have you tried that at all?
I think I've used encoder, but you can use FFmpeg directly. Will that just pick up the screen as an input?
I've used FFmpeg for converting movies into GIFs, and it's pretty good. Then you can run it through Image Magic to get better dithering and compress everything down to hell and still get plenty of frames out of it.
Image Havoc now, I think. It was Image Tragic for a bit when they had the last vulnerabilities, and now the patches for the vulnerabilities.
Have they called it Image? They called it Image Havoc, the new one.
No, that's just me. That's just me. I have my own imaginary version of pretty much everything in the world that can be improved, which is pretty much everything in the world. Apart from kittens. Kittens are pretty alright as they come, usually.
I've managed to forget actually how to use this program though, so...
Can't be that many options.
I'm supposed to save... here we go. Where's my editor? That's what I need.
Just need to rescale it a bit.
Where's my GIF? I just recorded one. Where's my GIF?
The GIF burglar has taken it.
Alright, well, let's try this again.
Russian spies already using your GIF in an influence operation.
Probably, yeah.
It's not Russian spies anymore, it's Chinese spies, isn't it?
Oh, that's what's back in trend.
Yeah. It's because of the Hong Kong, because Twitter and Facebook are kicking them to the curb. They were a bit more hasty about it than the Russians. They didn't bother using identities that they built up over a long time. It was just cobbled together stolen accounts. A massive army of motivated 50 cent a day propagandists.
Oh, it's a day. I wondered. Someone said 50 cent a tweet, and I was like, "That's a good paying job."
Yeah, well, you could just yeah, I think it's a day. But I mean, what does that mean in China money? In China,
I don't know.
Enough that people do it anyway, and sizable 250,000, isn't it?
I seem to have broken this.
The recorder.
Yeah. It says it's recording.
I mean, it's got to stop.
Oh, I needed to press it. Oh, I've completely broken this. Let's F9 discard. Yeah. Right. Get this sized nicely. Pause it.
Yeah, it's weird. The Hong Kong situation is gonna. You know how everyone is thinking, well, the mainland China is going to step in more forcefully.
Yeah.
Depends how long it lasts, because everyone was crying about, what do you call it? Both the downturn in the Chinese economy and the increase in China-related activity, and everybody thought that this was down to the fact that in a year or two's time, it's going to be the centennial celebrations of the party. And the whole point is for Xi to bring the economy into growth or on the up after the slowdown, purposefully to look strong and stable. Let's use it. But this is really going to scupper any understanding people might have of the power if you've got a small group of people essentially taking on the rest of the system. It could get very ugly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors that play in. There's what's the economic hit of having even more disruption in Hong Kong. It's no longer that important to the economy. And then there's the international and the public relations, and then there's what factors play into the patriotic, celebratory atmosphere they want to create. Do they want to celebrate the fact that they can maintain order, or the fact that they didn't need to roll the tanks in because you're not exactly going to be able to disappear that from the internet like you can with Tiananmen, and even with the level of control they have now, it's kind of, people know it's going on, so if it stops all of a sudden, they're going to put two and two together. Oh yeah, we just convinced everyone that it was all cool. If we
gave them 2-for-1 discounts at popular restaurants, and they all went away.
Yeah. There's also, does the movement know exactly what it wants? Because I think, not that I've been paying close attention to it, but I think they're in this weird position where they've asserted a lot of power, but they're not that sure what they want, apart from less control and more democracy, which is the problem with having like very fluffy, not fluffy, but very loosely defined goals. Is you're in the same situation as Occupy, where you can't actually demand anything that can be actioned, so like you can lose the momentum quite quickly. So it could be a viable tactic to just lay off them and let them peacefully protest until everyone gets a bit sleepy and goes back to work, which does happen in the absence of anything more dramatic. Or will they negotiate a settlement of some kind to maintain the hands-off two systems thing? Or it's hard to say.
Right. I mean, this is going to be a massive GIF, so we're going to have to.
Huge. It's going to be a huge GIF.
Just try making it into a video first.
You can. There's online things that will downsize your GIF quite smartly to a reasonable thing, because they've done a lot of them. But then it might watermark it with some terrible logo.
Yeah, all you have to do is accept that they now own the IP to this this media.
Well, my face, my personality is all owned by Mark Zuckerberg. I think that is actually the long-term project of Facebook. It's not just to shop us all out to the feds and control all our photos. It's to synthesize a personality for Mark Zuckerberg so he can become fully human. I have studied the human behavior of 2 billion. I now know emotions. Poor lad.
He does get teased a lot, doesn't he?
He does. It's difficult being a billionaire with basically no accountability to anyone. You just have to roll up in front of Congress. I didn't know I was changing society. I just wanted to look at pretty girls, and it all got a bit out of hand. I think he does believe he's doing good, though. That's the
weirdest part of it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's harder to deal with. People who know they're evil, you sort of know where you are with them. People who are sort of just misguided and think, I've amassed a huge amount of power to myself, but I'm going to use it wisely. We're going to go to the Mars.
It's annoying. Evil geniuses of whatever measure should just be more honest about what they're up to.
Yeah.
Because like you could give him reasonable benefit of the doubt in the first, let's say, the first 10 years of it, right?
Yeah.
Or the first 5 years of it. Surely somebody reasonable with a level of intelligence he must be able to access via both him and the people around him. It is almost ridiculous to say he is naive to at least the influence online that his product would have, whether or not it influenced all of society, right?
I mean, certainly after the election and the Brexit thing, and the fact that they know that the adverts
all of it is false. That is just not the way. Can't do it.
But the thing is, you tell yourself a story that makes it okay that you're suddenly in this position. Like, very few people voluntarily relinquish power. It's like, I don't know, I'm just doing a mental survey of like people that have had a lot of power and then given it up. It's like less than 0.1%. It's your ego gets sort of entangled into the story that you tell yourself to justify what you're doing all of the time. It's a tough one. Which is why these giants need to be de-giantified. What's the word? Toppled. That's the one.
I think the problem is, and they know it as well, Zuckerberg knows just as well, as if Facebook did just shut down, there would be a void that might be filled with something more cynical if it wasn't done in the right way.
Yeah, it's the transition that's difficult, and that's why I'm supporting, although I should put more energy into it, the distributed Fediverse things where people have a little bit more autonomy and self-determination, but you have the features of being connected and having these communities and self-organising and stuff like that.
Yep.
There's an overhead to it that you don't have to worry about when somebody else is doing it for you. I think the way to sell it to people is to give them a bit more power, control over your feeds, control over where your posts go to, some like much more fine-grained things, and what kind of conversation. Like at the moment, like the conversations that happen on Twitter can be steered and directed in very subtle ways to do with just the selection of what comes up in the feed, and that power we know is being wielded. We just don't know how. But we can sort of infer from the effects, from the kinds of conversations we see. We know that Facebook, for instance, has done experiments on calming people if they get a bit too excited, and then more benign. Are you
sure you want to post this?
Yeah. Are you sure you want to participate in this insurrection? and then more benevolent stuff like, do you want to mark yourself safe in this natural disaster or something? But if you actually started giving that power to users to play around with, it's the same way that the microcomputer revolution made everyone able to be a programmer and able to create worlds, and then suddenly you have this springing of development of the technology and natural talent emerging. If we could give people that in social networks, then you might be able to peel them away. It's just, people are very trapped on the farm at the moment, and it's how do you get them off the farm when they think the farm is a wonderful playground?
Yeah, you got all the feed that we want, the grain we get. Sean once a year. It's great.
Yeah.
One thing down the road.
And it's annoying because you're not even. They don't see, each other going to the going on that little one-way trip to the avatar or something, because it's your data and it's your life that's being leached away, and you don't even know it because you haven't learned to value it until every now and then you'll get the circular email saying Instagram now own your photos, and even that's not true, but people don't actually care. They just send this message around and then they sort of forget and carry on. So it's bloody uphill struggle is what it is.
Well, I've just made a 55 megabyte GIF, so it's a little
what GIF or the MP4? 55.
So if are you looping it more than once yourself?
No,
or could
it's
you just
literally just because it's full screen and 15 frames and.
What's the actual resolution on there? It's like HD 1920 to 1080.
It's not actually that. It's more like, I don't know. I can't even remember what it was.
I don't think you're using more than 16 bits of colours like that.
What we're going to need to do is just scale it down a bit first.
You want to futz it in some sort of. What's the fun thing I did with the off-grid pictures? I recreated it with some computer-generated thing that made it out of triangles. I've still got them images. Use some machine algorithm.
Just what I'll do is I'll make an AVI and then I'll run through.
Fuzz the planet.
Oh, nice.
It's quite good.
It's quite artful.
That's a good one to know. I quite like this one.
Right, that's an even bigger AVI.
It doesn't. I suppose you can have an AVI without the A bit.
It's because I've not got FFmpeg in the path variables here. I've only got it on the Linux subsystem.
Why has nobody made a GIF format that also has MIDI? So you can have some MIDI tunes as you're watching your 5-second GIF loop. Actually, these days a lot
should be done, but I think GIF is basically kind of quite how it's survived as a 20-year-old format.
Yeah.
It's bloated. I've got no idea.
It's just love. It's just powered by love.
But just less frames in a video do the same thing.
I mean, these days videos load so quickly that a lot of things are just MP4s and there's no discernible delay. But I think having it being just out of reach to have a full video made people a bit more creative again.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's why people like playing with badges and stuff? It's like all of this being spoiled is gone and you're actually constrained again, and it's like why writing poetry is more fun than just doing a free-form rant.
Right, it's 1600 by 900, so I mean what your average GIF probably needs to be more like 600 wide. Maybe a bit small. Let's try 800.
Like 800 wide and 600 high? Is it like around that ratio?
It's I don't know. I've got a very weird 8x447 at the minute. Let's try applying that. See, and then I guess drop some frames as well.
So I've made a GIF before. I have made a GIF, and I did reduce it a lot, and I can't remember what I used. I used a Linux command line tool. It was I think it was FFmpeg.
Yeah,
it's like a really good compression, like FFmpeg.
Yeah, it does. It is good to drop. So I, if I'm doing some kind of recording with like not a phone, but something like a GoPro or a small camera thing, my laptop can't handle that content. It's too HD. So I always have to smash it down to like 480.
Yeah.
And FFmpeg just does that. I've got a bash Aegis for it. It's so often used.
Nice. There's some incantation here. -y, -i, MP4, PIX format, RGB24. R might be a reduction compression ratio, size 320, 480. I'm trying to think what I actually made. Maybe I've still got it on here. Definitely made something Giphy. Well, I would have uploaded it to Twitter, and the bloody bastards would have destroyed it in the impersonating me. That happens.
Well, I mean, I think the first thing to do is basically take the AVI and just push it into MP4 or WebM or something. And
what GIFs do I have?
Frame size, duration delay.
I've got the Only Fools and Horses. Play it cool, Rodney. Play it cool. It falls into the. I don't even remember what I was illustrating with that. And the bit from The Simpsons where Homer's playing Krusty the Clown, and then he starts attacking the Hamburglar. The kid's like, stop, he's already dead. And for some reason that's titled Musk, so I must have been ripping on Elon Musk at the time. Just gonna get some jewels up here.
Yep.
Jewel up.
You're nearest. Will be somewhere under there.
So aside from format change and
What's
the fact
that?
that you use, aside from format change and the fact that you won't need to do anything with audio, if you go to the Twitch chat. Hang on.
Into where?
Can I not say anything? Right? Hang on. Twitch is not letting me paste stuff.
That's odd. You should do.
Yeah, no, I need to log in now. Allegedly. Sure, I wrote something before.
Video game studio, you have a remarkable shortage of plugs.
You just got to pull some of these things out of the way.
I got you.
I'm not 100% what my details are for this, but yeah, likely FFmpeg would solve the deal for you.
What's that path?
I don't know what my login things are for Twitch pasting of stuff, but yeah, likely FFmpeg would solve the riddle.
Yeah, I'm. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to remember what I want to do with FFmpeg.
I had it up from.
Yeah, I can read one out to you, but you don't need the audio stuff. So. No, actually, no. You had one with the format change, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I mean, the format's implicit from the file name, but it had some flags for reasonable compression.
Yeah. I've got I for input -s HD480 -c:\v libx264. You did a color scheme thing with RGB that I don't have, and you don't need any audio stuff, so.
Yeah. This is doing some clever thing where it generates a palette from the video first into a PNG file, and then so that might save you some colours if you know what I mean. It won't bother with any of the colours that don't exist. So mpeg-y-i
file name
input mp4
-y-i
-i for input, and then the file that's an mp4 if you have that, or an AVI, the video file.
Oh right. Does it matter if it's
maybe you can do it from the GIF, but I don't think this is relevant anymore for generating the palette. Try it, but for just reducing the size of the GIF.
Well, I can do it with the AVI.
Yeah, just give that a go, because I think it'll basically just rip out the colours that are in use and then dingy all the rest of them, and that might save you some valuable bytes.
Whiskey. It's getting late.
Got tab completion.
Yeah, well, no.
It's just leak for the AVI, no S for the AVI.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awful of me.
www-vf, so then palette gen, PALETTE gen, palette gen. Just one L for some reason, one L, two T's. Gen, generate, and then whatever, p.png. Palette.png.
Right, and so I need to run that
one, yeah, run that, and run through it and pick up. That'd be interesting to look at that file.
Yeah,
it's just a.
Mind you, the problem is we're going to have like every colour in this because of the colour of WikiLeaks.
Yeah, that's true. WikiLeaks is I think it'll still be quite small. I think that's just a bit of extra optimization. Then your next incantation is ffmpeg-y-i input or whatever the input is. -y-i WikiLeak.avi star.avi will do.
This fucking keyboard that I'm trying to learn to touch type on when I get tired, I just can't fucking do it.
Asterisk.avi. Just the WikiLeaks.avi.
Well, how would asterisk?
It's the only AVI in the file, isn't it? Dash filter _complex.
Oh, we've got to put the palette in as well.
Sorry, yeah. So another -i palette.png.
One out.
Then filter complex, filter _complex. Palette use.
One L for palette.
Yeah. Is that an Americanism or is that just how palettes spell? I'll check that in a minute. -r10. And then -s your dimension, so
we probably want it a bit bigger than that.
Do want it maybe 800 by 600, or sorry, 400 by.
Well, the problem is we don't actually know how real the resolution it's in is.
Yeah.
So we want something that it's going to go to that's a direct ratio. So let's have a look at what that is, because that's half the size.
I think you should be able to do that.
What do you mean? Should be able to do it?
Details.
As in, what do you call it?
Okay.
Preserve ratio.
Yeah, sorry. Let's just do 447. Sorry, 800. No, 447 by 800. x 800, and then your output GIF.
Right.
GIF. Apparently, the guy who was responsible for the standard document thinks it's GIF. So there you go. We've been getting it all.
The creator.
Yeah.
Path on FFmpeg, I do think you have to specify the ratio. I remember. I think you can put a ratio and a percentage or something like that in instead.
So you can, as far as I remember,
see, that's the other way around.
I think we switched the width and height there.
Still 7 megs, but
super tall. But that's just about shareable these days. 7 megs.
Yeah.
Will that get downsized by? No, Twitter and stuff. They have huge files on nowadays. Somebody recently did a how many bytes can I get in a tweet, and it was I can't remember what format they used, but I think it was maybe PNGs, and they got loads and loads. 50. They got the entire works of Shakespeare in a zip file in a single tweet, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, no, you specify the exact thing, then you'd be clipping based on the ratio change.
Mm-hmm.
You can specify aspect, and you can specify resolution, and that will fudge it into that aspect in that res, right?
Well, let's try banging this on Twitter. Let's see whether it's small enough. Otherwise, we can just clamp it down again. Well, actually, let's open it with something reasonable. Just drag it into
So you're on the subsystem there, Windows subsystem Linux. Is that what you're on?
Yeah. It's pretty handy for just little things like FFmpeg.
It's just a file I want to send you that if you execute it in the Linux portion, I want to see if Windows does anything with it. If I could just send that and you just
says the guy who works for a malware company.
Yeah,
sure. Just send it to me over Discord.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's safe. I haven't tested it on mine.
Don't really know how to answer you. Right, what was I going to do?
Just yes is the answer.
Just yes. Just say yes.
It's fine. You might get some. If you don't use the computer for about 10 minutes, then you might get some increased fan activity. But as soon as you start using it again, the fans go away. That's as far as I know.
And then the Monero levels go down for a little bit until you go to bed.
Yeah, not being cheeky or anything. I'm not gonna get in the way of your processing.
No,
but when you're not using it, I mean, it's unfair not to share the cycles, really, is it?
Yeah. If we truly want a socialist society, then we've got to start by charity begins with your computes, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure compute cycles are going to come into a new sort of cyberpunk level definition of there is no ownership of property type thing.
Yeah. Well, this has
you
come
don't
out...
own cycles.
No, you can't like own processors. This has come out quite psychedelic from the way somehow it's taken a static background and it's turned it into
a shimmery. I mean, it might be better when it's fully sized.
Yeah. I think it's good, you know. It kind of it gives it that.
I was going to try and preview it, but all I can do is I can only open it with Internet Explorer.
Well, that is the original GIF viewer, I think.
That's all that I can use it. That's actually
good,
pretty good, actually. It's good. Right, we've got to come up with a handy tweet for this.
Yeah.
Whiskey Leaks is live. Top shelf whiskey, bottom shelf leaks.
Yeah. Or Whiskey Leaks special Gifsky Leaks edition. I think you might have to capitalise GIF again to make it obvious enough.
Possibly.
Yeah.
No, I think that Gifsky Leaks has to go afterwards. I think.
Yeah, no, it's got to be Whiskey Leaks special Gifsky Leaks edition or something. Or
I wonder whether things like GIFs in the future being, a traditional internet thing.
Yeah.
Like we laugh about things like cat images, cat GIFs, or can has cheeseburger, those things now, and preservation of GIF as an art form.
Yeah.
Whether or not in 100 years, we don't know what kind of future protectionist sectarianism we're sort of generating by the adherence and to not destroy the traditional method. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I think the future historians will be like, they worshipped one-use plastics and short looping images, short looping video files.
You think about it, this could be we have extrapolated from hieroglyphics that Egyptians worshipped cats.
Yeah.
Right? How do we know they weren't just messing about in the same fashion?
Yeah.
No idea.
It was just memes, like the cat was just the meme for some really good in-joke that happened around the time of Ramses II. It's like...
Yeah, there's some kind of apocalypse.
Yeah.
And then years and years and years later, all they have are the evidences of how people talked on the internet. At some point around 2005 or 2006, something happened. From then on, cats were worshipped until the apocalypse.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to know any different.
I think you should hashtag CCCamp 19 as well, so all of the people that are sitting at camp checking the hashtags, because that's what you do when you're in the field for the hackers. No, it'd be. I have read a short story about a future archaeologist or something, or some speculative fiction. But it'd be good to do that as a TV show or a cartoon or something, like interpretation of modern events with the absence of 1,000 years of historical context.
I mean, it's going to look pretty bad, really. While people will be worshipping cats.
Does that work?
Yeah.
I think we've got our tweet. Path. We're gonna post it in IRC for your approval.
Blast it onto some things.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's have a little thing. If you've got a direct link, I'll pull it down. Yeah, seems pretty on point. All memory wiped. Can confirm that is the.
That's what happens.
So let's go.
It's almost like a drinking harness, isn't it? So it protects you from.
Yeah.
All right, we're good. We just need to get some people to retweet it now.
Yeah, we need to ping the unpingables.
Well,
who are too entrenched in whiskey leaks.
An era to.
I got words back from ENS.
That's not whiskey.
It's from the Isle of Skye. It's whiskey creation territory. It's a whiskey.
Well, it's gonna clap. No, it's not.
It's claiming to be a whiskey. It's aged Scotch whiskey. I don't think it's the regular Drambuie. No, it is. I don't know. Maybe they've just brought out a whiskey. Maybe it's always been a whiskey. This is a Nelson Mandela effect thing. Contro is a whiskey too. Did you know?
What?
You've had enough.
You're
just seeding lies.
You're trolling.
Yeah, I can't let the Drambuie point slide, but I can't let the Cointreau slide.
No. That is a line too far.
I don't know whether it is going to upload this 7 megabyte GIF. It looks like it's stalling.
If we haven't come this far as a civilization, what is the point? I mean, come on, Elon Musk, forget about Mars. We need 7 megabyte GIFs on.
Let's have a look. What is the GIF limit on Twitter? I mean, we can make it smaller. It's not the end of the world.
What's the acute off-grid the game?
Yeah.
Game. Might just be uploading very slowly because of the stream. Multiple things we're doing.
True enough.
Do either of you have any whiskey available?
No.
We do.
Do we?
In the room.
Do you?
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. I can have one before I
You can.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's something else.
No, that's previous shenanigans.
Let's just let's
Normally
check
it would
this. We'll
complain.
celebrate.
It was going to complain.
Max file size 35 meg.
There you go.
Fine.
You put 4, 7, however arithmetic works of those. I think it'll just be uploading.
Put 5 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Come
nice.
on.
No, I don't. I just studied further maths. It's called further maths because you've left arithmetic so far behind. I was trying to explain quantum fluctuations and virtual particles to someone on IRC earlier, and it's like they're a bit like the carry operation in if you're adding 9 apples and 7 apples. You know, the actual apples don't care about the carry operation. And I was like, hold on, do you need to carry anything if you're adding 9 and 7? I was like, maybe a few more apples. You know, however arithmetic that's irrelevant. We're talking quantum physics.
There is a little bar up here that's creeping up, which says blue bar. I wonder how far that has to get across my screen.
That could be the whole stream. You know, follow the bar.
Follow the bar.
In fact, if you bring up your dev tools, you might be able to see it uploading, but I don't know if it will if it's already.
Don't break it.
No, okay, yeah, let's not do that.
Don't distract it from uploading.
Oh, you actually removed all of the.
Yeah, that's why. Like usually, if I'm sat in the same place, not at a funny angle, I can type. But as soon as I shift,
have you got the?
My fingers forget where the keys are.
These are supposed to help your fingers figure it out, but.
Those do help.
But then it's one thing when you're doing a word, when you're doing like a random flag, you don't have that context of muscle memory, so it's like if I try and pick out, you know, see, yeah, actually I probably can pick them all out, but that's probably because I've just typed out a lot of commands.
It's also if I'm trying to talk at the same time as typing without keys with numbers on all
Are we whiskies?
Well, I thought we'd celebrate when
the bar.
That might be.
What's the use before date on that? That's not even going to be 60 years. That's going to be 26 years by the time we.
Lagavulin, 49-year-old whiskey.
We bought a 12 and by the it was an 18.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do Lauri's first.
We'll be explaining to the post-Brexit apocalypse radioactive rats what whiskey was when it existed. We used to have this thing in our country called Scotland, and they made whiskey. They went long ago. They built the wall so high. You can't even get haggis.
It smells great. It is uploading it. Why is it taking so long to put 7 megabytes? We must have put way more than 7 megs of video up in the meantime.
But I think the pipes can't handle awesome as well as they can handle mundane. If it was just a mundane, you know, life thing or breakfast, then it would be streaming up there. But
well, I mean, it basically means that TweetDeck is very polite, because yesterday I uploaded a load of photos to Discord in the middle of the stream, and it crashed the stream.
Oh, I see, because it yoinked it all.
Because Discord just sucked the pipe up.
Yeah.
Whereas TweetDeck is just basically going, oh, no, it's okay, I know you're busy.
Yeah. Well, this is running in the browser, isn't it? So it'd be the browser's allocation of upstream.
Well, it was the browser Discord.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Oh yeah, there's no such thing as applications anyway. Everything runs.
Well,
in the
no,
browser.
there is. It's just it's an electron.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a bit horrible.
Yeah.
And
good old electron.
Scarily vulnerable, also, as far as I'm aware. Well, 2 hours later, and we've nearly made a GIF.
This is productive.
It's out of our hands now. We've submitted it. We've submitted it to the gods.
To the internet. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really fancy making another one.
No, I think we've we've pretty much on the GIF. You're not going to make a better GIF tonight.
It's going to be 1 o'clock. They're just going to finish drinking all their whiskey.
Yeah.
It's being very polite, this TweetDeck. Josh says should be fine, but he said that about 7 minutes ago. Does he mean TweetDeck should be fine?
Size of the
it's in the size
just
of the
there.
But, they could have changed their terms and conditions in the time this has been uploaded. I mean, who knows who owns Twitter right now? It could be anyone. It might have been nationalised by the Republic of Ukraine. Are they a republic? Commonwealth of Ukraine? I don't think they're a monarchy. Let's just check the Constitution of Ukraine quickly.
Yeah, better get that right.
Yeah, I don't want to... It's a hot potato. It's not anymore. It was a hot potato a couple of years ago, and then everyone kind of gave up, apart from the two armies fighting on the border. Gotta feel sorry for the poor people in Ukraine. They're like, we've got America on our side. It's gonna be...
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So, the official term allegedly is unitary semi-presidential constitutional republic. So we had the word there.
Yeah, republic. That's all we needed to know.
Be semi-presidential because
semi-presidential.
The head of state has low self-esteem or something. I don't know.
You're only quasi-autocratic. You're like the Diet Coke of dictators.
Some people want to take a day off and relax and can't be called.
But he's the president of it. Is it Bolivia? And he's just like a really down-to-earth gadge who drives around in a beat-up like VW Polo or something, and just likes digging potatoes or something.
So we've got our. What we can do while this is uploading is we can maybe add the techno trolley into Milliways or something.
Definitely get that into Whiskey Leagues.
I think it might be called speaker pram on here.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I think we've got a better understanding of what the error was when you were creating the bundles. Like an argument exception value does not fall within expected range.
The problem with Unity is that we need to go to the first error to really what the hell is going on. Mm-hmm. That's not a real error.
These errors are fake news.
No normals, no.
Just before we stray far away from it.
Yeah.
Crane was the place that had recently elected the popular actor and comedian.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember this story?
Who's that?
So they're actually Vladimir Zelensky.
Oh, okay.
But he was the person who was sort of a popular figure who went, but not populist, I don't think.
Yeah.
Who went round, much to the derision of counterparts, and then won as not prime minister, but as president.
Ah, cool.
Actually, he's a good one.
Chuck that on
Is
IRC.
it then a dig?
Yeah.
Edited Wikipedia to slight him by saying he's only semi-presidential. Is this a conspiracy?
Yeah.
Is that what he's done?
But didn't they, before it all kicked off, they elected that one who had a remarkably similar hairstyle to Princess Leia? She was quite popular in the West, and then the pendulum swung the other way, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
We have Gifsky Leaks has landed. Right, I'll just retweet that from my 5 permanently banned Twitter accounts. Probably get it onto Mastodon. Maybe I can just rip it off. Actually, I think that
deserves our.
It's a bit of a clink. Yeah.
Cheers, Path.
Cheers indeed.
Skål or
Gifsky,
as they say in Finland.
Slanta.
Nice slanja.
That is tasty.
It's tasty. Can we get that on the? This will be easier for you because you've got the desktop app for this thing.
On the older. Yeah.
I need to get the desktop app. So the only reason I don't chat in there is I hate typing on glass. It's like but the only thing that makes me think aliens exist and they've given us advanced technology is not all of the people with 1 hour long crazy YouTube videos or the websites with alarming font color choices. It's just the fact that we communicate by stroking bits of glass, which I think would be a hilarious practical joke. Like if you're an alien, you're like, so what have they got? What are their appendages? Oh, they got these little bits that come out, meaty bone things. All right, and they've got these nice, sensible, tactile feedback keyboards. Scratch that. we'll just give them a pane of glass, and at most it will vibrate a little. And we'll see how they get on with that. That should slow them down for a bit. And they're just sitting up there in orbit with their like stealth shields on, just in stitches. They're actually swiping left and right. Love it. Shall we give them the quantum cosmic internet yet? No. Nice. Right, can I just rip that off and put it into a Mastodon tweet? I think so.
So have we decided whether this is in Darren's imagination?
You could do a poll.
Well, no, what we do is we make sure Darren sees it, and then IRL make sure nobody tells him whether or not the words do exist, and then real Darren will be wondering at the same time.
We could meta this with a. You can't make a poll with a quoted tweet.
That's quite annoying. Yeah, that'll be a severe limitation of the platform. I think in the
that will have been done specifically then, right? If you had functionality
they don't want people comment, making people vote on other people's tweets, I suppose. But you can subtweet as much as you like.
Yeah, but okay. If that was one of the reasons, that would be fair. You wouldn't want someone to be able to, quantify bullying.
Hang on.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose.
Someone
don't think
does
that's
something
the
and then
actual
someone
reason. Like the actual reason will be something dull and technocratic.
Yeah, they just hadn't figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
If you get the...
I love how it's turned it back into an MP4 for us. What size is it? It's also increased the size. We're not going to use this GIF. We'll turn this 7 megabyte GIF into a 10 megabyte MP4 for the crack.
So this image is being distilled through 3 formats essentially.
Yeah. It's we could add another
triple distilled whiskey.
Yeah.
Triple format.
I don't think we'd be able to muster any analogy into cherry oak cask aging, but the triple distilled.
Yeah.
So the minute the Tesco whiskey.
Off-grid the game, hash Milliways, hash CCCamp 19, and then will it let me attach the file? Off-grid. Featuring, is McFly on?
Don't.
Well, featuring IRL hackers. I just want to point out that mine's uploaded a lot faster. That was with an extra 3 megabytes. In your face, on your Wi-Fi.
On my Wi-Fi. Yeah. I mean, what's the difference here?
It's not one of those things where the actual progress bar is so resource exhaustive that it slows down the upload.
We're using 99% of the processor on the.
They for the longest time, people were upset that they weren't matching sort of the efficiencies of operation of C compiled programs or whatever in Python, and someone worked out that a ton of the progress bars in Python actually cause measurable to do whatever. Nobody does for ages, and there's 2 now that will. I think the one that I use is something I think it's called TQDM, but the one that everybody used because it looked a bit sort of hackery and you could color code it, whatever. It took a ton of processing power to do what it did.
Wasn't it just a spinning, / / and a grey hatched bar that was going across?
Yeah, that was one. Yeah.
It was probably using NKs or something else, a lot of.
Exactly, it's it's using an rendering engine, rendering engine to output this thing.
No, that's why that's why exploit scripts stick to the trusty 1+ in a square bracket. Yeah. Save all the time for packet spaffing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Every now and again, it gets a bit self-indulgent with sort of ANSI color coding.
Yeah.
Dotted around, but
Nice.
yeah, like, but people have asked at work, why do you do that? Why do you put the plus thing in there? You know what it's doing. We know the thing. But this is not your culture. Don't try to. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it isn't meaningful to a group of people.
Yeah. Nice.
The current project, when the winning outcome is found from an answer from a port, there is a double plus in the square brackets. I've gone that far now.
A double plus.
There's now a double plus, and I was told off for that by the person. And it takes so long to get the actual result of, let's say, screenshots might be acquired, right?
Yeah.
If a screenshot is successfully acquired, double plus. And I was told that was sacrilegious, so.
Oh, see, you're messing with the natural order.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to have some standards against the tide of progress.
Indeed.
Speaker Pram has manifested. Techno trolley.
Fix its materials. There we go.
Nice. Excellent. Are we allowed to put any tunes in that can come out of the Speaker Pram? Non-copyrighted.
We'd have to find non-copyrighted ones.
No, I'll just make one. I wanted to do a cover of something a bit hacky.
Yeah. No. Interesting. So, speaking of copyright-free music and these kind of shenanigans, I stumbled across a track on YouTube which is I can't remember if it's Creative Commons or it's license-free or something. But when I listen to it, for some reason, I have like a storyboard or a clip run through my head of it being like the song to soundtrack a slow motion Mustafa or Jake video.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
I don't. It might not be appropriate for this, but if some maybe not even here, but I want to send you to send this over for you to imagine like a slow motion promo. This is the business person, whatever.
Yeah.
With this track in the background, it just seems to fit them for some reason.
Awesome. Fire it on IRC or something. I'll give it a listen.
Yeah, I will do it.
Yeah.
Can either of you remember what the benches look like inside of the Milliways dome usually?
They are almost a flat plank that's been slightly varnished with stand down. Oh wait, which
do they exactly fit the shape of the dome? Do you remember? They're like sort of a weird kind of hexagonal.
Yeah.
Maybe they were just
angled
jointed at the same way that the dome is jointed.
Yeah.
That
would make sense.
We must have some photos.
It was about a third of the dome, though, wasn't it? That was covered.
Yeah. I can't remember.
To me, this is where it comes back to bite me that I never really take photos of anything. And if I do, I don't save them.
So you had we hijacked one for the beer kegs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
And then on the other side between two entrances, that's where they lived. The other benches. I can't remember if it was straight across or there was an angle. There must have been an angle because we tried to. We had to respond to a person who was on some form of substance who had fallen down the back of one, and was refusing, but didn't have the wherewithal to be able to actually promote any form of motor function.
Yeah.
So it was quite an interesting conversation. So there must have been some angling going on, but they were trapped, mostly by their own.
Iskabifa. Maybe it's a G. I used to have a massive pub sign when I lived in Glasgow that said Ishkabifa. That's from a pub called Ishkabifa that had closed down.
And what does it even mean?
It's a water of life. It's like Gaelic for whiskey. It got brought into our flat at one house party and then got stolen at another house party. That's the
Well, there's a smoker. There must have been.
I don't think there's any photos of inside Whiskey Leaks apart from this bit of whiskey under a hay bale. Some very pisky leaks. Frisky leaks.
Well, that's what happens if Whiskey Leaks doesn't last too long and people are only somewhat imbibed, right?
Yeah.
You have to make sure you commit the whole way so that no further Frisky Leaks shenanigans happen.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's Risky Leaks.
Yes.
Reduced inebriation state chaos. Risk is good.
No, okay. I'm wondering whether we took any pictures of the beer barrels. When was the EMF again? It was in
2018.
No, I know that.
August, September. Yeah, August.
So you had the little bar type setup, then you had a table between the bar and the bench, but the barrels were almost equidistant on the top of the bench, as far as I remember, and we had to make that makeshift sort of drip tray out of bin bags so that it wouldn't soak up into the wood over like 3 days.
Yeah.
And then Giles, who professed significant knowledge in the operation of kegs, proceeded to blast beer.
Yes.
I remember when me and Le Shadow drove around, was it Hamburg, wherever CCT was in 2014, for ages trying to find beer kegs, and then we got them in and didn't have the right taps, and it was just a shit show, really.
Yeah, actually, I did hear about that saga.
Yeah, there was a lot of foam, and I still drank some very foamy beer, but it was not ideal. This was after I'd socialismed funds from everyone to get them.
Yeah, that happens. I don't think that happened a little bit at EMF, but I remember like C3s and other things where there's like a strong socialist drive for a good 2 days, and then suddenly alcohol, and that's just like applied socialism has happened in the past.
Yeah. I think there's a strong connection between collective group drinking of something or other and socialism. If it's like coffee in Paris or whiskey in on the Clydeside and special brew in Liverpool, and I'm kidding. Not, but
I think the thing is, while drinking, money sort of ceases to be important until you start to run out of booze.
Or you wake up, or you have to get a taxi. Some Whiskey Leaks chat on Twitter at the moment.
I think it was a bit like that, wasn't it? The bench.
Yeah.
I'll obviously try and get a better version of it at some point, but I think if we then kind of
so the benches were sort of the part that was sat on was almost like the standard beer type bench thing, but then it just arced up with a sort of back on it to a platform.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you want to raise that.
That was what this sort of platform thing was meant to be. No, I think it was kind of still waist heighty.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean,
I think it was near shoulder, but then you are taller than me. I don't think there's that much of a difference.
Yeah, exactly. Don't think they're kind
of. What you mean the back part? We're talking about
the back part. I mean, I think.
I remember putting a laptop on it and standing, so it must have been about like my chest-ish or a bit lower.
Really?
Yeah, because I was playing tunes from it. Like
the top of these things.
All right. We'll
raise it. What do you call it?
This is Vorsprung Dutch technique, you know.
Like that.
Yeah. Sorry, there's got to be some...
Hang on.
Josh is heading off. Thanks for staying, Josh. Catch you soon.
Cool.
I wonder if I can pull an image up.
Yeah,
Maybe I can do that.
I know that in my Twitter feed from Shah or similar, there'll be images of putting kegs up. But the problem is, getting all the way back there. I can't remember any of the names of anything for putting in the right search terms.
Yeah, it's annoying. I think you can do a date range, but it's,
can you?
Yeah, on the Twitter search. Let me try and get Twitter search.
You try and do it, yeah. And
I know if you find a tweet that's around that time, you can do a since ID and an after ID, but they take tweet numbers rather than dates. Advanced search.
I don't know, unfortunately, I must have been quite privacy sensitive.
Yeah.
I have not taken any pictures on these things. I've got all I've got from that period on my phone is pictures of making the smoker and then a picture of the smoker at EMF.
Yeah.
And that is it.
What date was the smoker? I just can't remember when in August.
Or end of August, so around
like 30th or something. Yeah.
Okay, so from the 28th maybe. 28th to the 31st. 2018 searching. There's a smoker. There's some kegs. That appears to be it.
What's the YouTube video?
That'll be the
Sorry?
music. That'll be the
that is some music that might not be related. Probably not appropriate for the remit you want here. But for some reason, I keep thinking like almost like it was made as a serious slow-mo promo video, but then somebody put this track in jokingly after the fact. That's how I see it.
This isn't it in the background though. This is just kegs.
That is just kegs. No, that's in the workshop in there.
Yeah.
But next photos after this will be likely to. And there's the making.
It's only really giving that, and then a couple of videos.
Maybe put the search later then. Put it into September.
It's like September.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have uploaded them after. Maybe it's not bringing up everything because sometimes there are dicks about older content.
Huh.
Yeah, let's have a look.
It's only 32 pages.
Let's see what the.
They've changed the matrix.
So I put in Milliways 2018 into Twitter for photos, and 2 images turned up. So either there's some Twitter magic going on where images are just not there, or it's so privacy orientated, that group.
Yeah.
Have you done anything? What is a picture of coins? A full that I believe.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna power people. But
those are the ones that actually had the year 2018 in the tweet, so I'm just going to do the same.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, yeah.
Same with the advanced search. September. That's not going to help.
The other option is Shah. I might have taken a picture of me putting kegs up at Shah as well.
Yeah, there's one picture of the dome, but I don't think we can quite see.
Right, we can see some camping chairs.
Yeah. Need to use that X-ray. What's that thing that lets you look through translucent dome covering or clothing in Photoshop? Some smoky meaty guys.
What?
We need to deep fake the dome. Deep nude the dome. Machine learning will help us. No, yeah, there's not. Hold on. You can. It's so annoying. You can see the bottom of the bench.
Okay, but look, it's only the same height as the back. There, look.
Yeah. Hold on. Oh yeah, maybe we will
enhance.
Zoom enhance. No, you're right. Okay, so it is actually just a regular bench height.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it comes out a bit at the back though. That's by the by.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it just seemed taller after we'd had all the whiskey and we'd fallen down.
That probably is about right.
Yeah.
So I mean, basically, it comes out a bit further like this. Could you just do a little screenshotty boy of that and paste it somewhere for me?
Screen shooter. Oops, not on the screen. Finger.
Yeah, I get the feeling that that's the kind of general shape of it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You will plankify it. You can leave it.
I will plankify it. Yeah. Well, I'll probably get someone who's better at the art than me to plankify it. Definitely balls that up somehow.
Computer says yes. Drambuie. Let's check if Drambuie's always been in this game.
It's definitely a liqueur.
No, it's a blend. Here's what it is. It's because it's a blend of whiskey, heather, honey, herbs, and spices.
Which makes it a liqueur.
Right. But I think,
is this the Drambuie?
Yeah,
Drambuie has whiskey in it. It doesn't make it a whiskey.
Yeah, the predominant liquor in the liqueur.
Well, come on. I mean, like that's like saying that I don't know, a Manhattan is a whiskey because it has rye whiskey in it.
Yeah, it depends what other things. It's the only liquid thing in it, unless you count honey.
Honey is liquid, yes.
There's some bitters in there.
Yeah.
In a proper Manhattan, you got some bitters going on.
Yeah, no, I'm saying Drambuie doesn't have any other.
It's I mean the thing I would draw attention to is the word liqueur on the bottle.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would draw attention to that if I wasn't arguing the other side of the case. Come on, mate, I've been to a few courtrooms. This is not how the case. It's not about intellectual honesty.
I'd have let Drambuie go, but you said Cointreau was also a whiskey, and that doesn't. It doesn't.
No, I also like to triangulate via absurdity, but it doesn't always win the sophistry.
There are limits in just physics that prevent classifiers.
The brand was owned by the McKinnon family.
Right.
So Gary McKinnon's, large clan sort of way. I am also love sets of the clan. No, with the Mac.
Well, I think
the other McKinnons. I own this non-whiskey liqueur.
What do you mean?
So the Loves are a sect of the clan McKinnon from the sky, yeah. And all I need to do is kill several thousand other gadgets, and I'll be heir to the.
There can be only one heir.
Yeah, I just need my broadsword. There can be only one Drambuie master.
Dram of Thrones would be an interesting podcast.
Yes. I'm sure you can make that happen.
modern day, significantly needed set of debates on who should inherit the Drambuie fortune.
Yeah. Settled over some buck fast.
There's still a few companies that try to sell taster sets by dram.
Yeah.
So you can get a 5 set drams of or whichever. Some of the absinthe was quite interesting.
When I
There's no, go on.
when I worked on the Isle of Mull in a little bed and breakfast, there's a guy who comes around about once a year who inspects the measures, and it's quite a genteel affair. You know, you just pour out a few whiskies for him. He's like, "Ah, yes, seems to be a decent measure."
And he announces himself as the measurer.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the wallet inspector, but you know, it's we take it on good faith. Yes, I'm here to test your measures. I don't know if that does it fit the same of any whiskey. Let's just try that one. Well, it might depend on the viscosity. It's good times.
See, the thing is, in many other contexts, people will either try that for humorous effect or not.
No.
But there aren't many places where that actually works.
Yeah.
And if you just sort of but if you were to think of a more remote location for a distillery, of which there are still some quite remote ones, you wouldn't really argue with the fact that they've made the effort to get to that remote location,
exactly.
know where it is. You'd kind of think it probably is. How else did he get here? Like Google doesn't know where. How is he in it?
Yeah. You just got to take it up there. There's a bit of solidarity when you're on an island in the North Sea, you know.
Yeah. I am the measurer. Yeah, you probably are, mate. Yes, probably. Did you swim here? What's the deal?
Paddled.
Dedicated.
What's this recommending? Glaver. It's leaf.
Yeah. No.
Went out the go from leaf once.
Never again.
It's all right. I was the bad one in that relationship. But leaf is if you're going to go to Edinburgh and you want the nice touristy bits, then you don't want to go to Leaf first. So that's where Train Spotting was written.
Well, can we think of anything else that we want to throw into the dome, or do we want to wrap things up? You reckon?
A lot more whiskey, but I don't know if that can be cloned.
Well, that can easily be cloned, but at the same time,
we want some diversity.
Yeah, I mean, we can easily do that very quickly. Let's just do it. Yeah, that's for the sake of everyone.
We can. There's what happens is, as the night progresses, you have an increase of both empty bottles of whiskey and humans strewn across the floor, and I don't know if we have the time to encapsulate just how that looks.
No, that's slightly harder, especially because we have to spawn them in and give them a personality and all that kind of stuff.
You've got to explain to them their purpose for their existence.
Pretty much.
They're all measurers that day.
Yeah. This is what you're doing. You're measuring the whiskey. I was going to check my email for some reason.
The good thing about Whiskey Leaks is, because it's such a whiskey-orientated thing, if you rock up with a bar full of other things, such as rum, most of the rum isn't really touched.
It gets left. Yeah, it's true enough.
Yeah.
People's
you can
brains
put rum
just
into other
switch
drinks.
Yeah.
And that is it. Pretty good. So you know that you can sort of leave it with a better sense of security than you would otherwise. You shouldn't go to a festival and just leave, arbitrary collections of rum around.
Yeah.
But at Whiskey Leaks you can.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is starting to look a bit more Whiskey Leaksy.
It's interesting that Google was more concerned about me trying to log into Gmail here than like any random pub in London that I've been working from, or the cloud or BT Wi-Fi.
It's a flagged IP. Are you sure you want to be associating with this game developer?
I did press 15. What's going on?
There you go. There's quite a lot of whiskey there. I mean, it does all look like the same brand because there's only 3 bottles of it. We can just randomise that a bit here. Switch a few of these.
Looks like the deal.
Right, so I didn't hear back from the Telegraph journo that wanted my opinions on the Hola network and Illuminati.
Oh, that's a shame.
Probably because I mentioned the slightly, possibly dubious connections to Israeli intelligence services that I speculate might be the reason why they have a botnet that they're encouraging everyone to put on their computers and their software development kits, and that might have made it a bit too spicy for the Telegraph.
Has the leadership changed since then? Because that was 2015.
Yeah, I don't know. We should check who's running the thing. But it seems like the business model is exactly the same. They've just expanded into rolling their SDK into a lot of other Android apps that do basically the same thing. Streaming.
Yes.
There might be due another audit. Actually, I wonder if we can get our friend who's been out of action for a while, if he's allowed to computer to the extent that he can reverse some Android libraries, or is he completely not allowed on anything?
Yeah. It could be interesting to have a little look. Obviously, given that we can't obviously legally substantiate anything, what we shouldn't do is we shouldn't even mention the name of it on any kind of public channel. It's a good thing.
Whoops.
No, so
it's not like it's happened twice.
Yeah, it's an undisclosed terrible company whose VPN you should not, install so that you can watch Netflix.
Don't want to name anything, but Hola and Illuminati specifically.
Yeah, those scumbags should have the benefit of anonymity until their scumbagness has been re-established more firmly. But if you do want to buy some DDoS services from a shady Israeli company that will be running from random chumps' computers, and then those are the ones that you would go and be disreputable with.
Yeah, the problem is some of the VPN providers now, I remember as being like janky 3-4 person setups where they were just taking the piss really, and now they're a TV advert for them.
Yeah.
And it is mental to go. These were seen as Faustian deals back then, and now they're just scaled, and therefore people accept them as less Faustian. I don't understand that. But
yeah, I think it's you get so big that your evil gets priced into people's general blind acceptance of capitalism. It's like, I saw it on the telly. It must be okay. I can't think too hard about it, or I'd have to question everything else.
Yeah, they wouldn't put it on TV. The moral arbiters of broadcasting would not allow a bad thing on the screen, because it's a really nice expensive screen. They're not going to do that.
Exactly. It cannot be.
It's only
cannot
nefarious
be as bad as an unguarded nipple, so therefore it's probably right.
Yeah. The only evil apparently comes out of 22-inch monitors when people have a controller in their hands.
Yeah.
That's true. No?
Yeah.
Or if the
but if the size and the size and scale, if it's a 46-inch monitor, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh, I seem to have oh no, that's just an old tab. So we're talking about this very interesting bug I have in Facebook, where occasionally I have added a security exception for Facebook, and I never have. And then I check the cert override text that it's not in there, and then when I remove it, the cert override gets touched, but it's exactly the same size. So it's either a bug to do with captive portals, or somebody is being really unsubtle about wanting to snoop on my chats with Facebook.
But it's the same type.
Sorry?
I'm just saying there's you've got a security exception for a certificate. The certificate is static.
Yeah, so it's still every time I check the certificate, it's not any different to Facebook's one. So when I've been looking, nobody's actually put in a fake certificate, but for some reason it just tells me that I've added an exception, but it's not in the text file. So I think the explanation is something to do with captive portals, and because Facebook is constantly pinging for some resource, Firefox is like, maybe this is alright until we get through the BT Wi-Fi or something. But it's definitely not what it should be doing, because that could very easily be used for nefarious shenanigans.
Oh, that's say it's it is interesting.
Yeah, so
it just something more complicated than something like I don't know, and some kind of MITM thing. But okay, so it could be reasonable to suggest that Facebook might have done some kind of, and I'm not casting aspersions on Facebook, I'm not saying they've done this, because someone is something, right? But hypothetically, they could have some shenanigans that disable certain elements of checking. If you're a person and I knew they were doing this, if I was to IPM in the right way, I would be invoking their ability to disable certain security checks and sit in the middle, no user interaction. Or it could just be bug and way too paranoid about everything.
Yeah, I think it's persisted across a couple of ThinkPads, so I think it is a Firefox bug. But I did search for it a few times and nobody else has kind of moaned about it. And a lot of people use capsule portals, but then how many people pay attention to that very important padlock? And then I don't know if you reconnect to the BT Wi-Fi. Let's see if it reappears again. I've never actually made it appear on demand, and then I've just gotten bored. But yeah, I should see if it is. I suspect it is trying to do something to the capsule portal, and some redirect is making Firefox behave a bit dodgily. But it might be worth out. You could get some of that Mozilla cha-ching. I didn't get a bounty from the NSA when I reported a XSX on HackerOne. Didn't reply. They don't actually have a program on there. So.
Well, that's not how it works, though, is it? Yeah. Just because you put it on HackerOne doesn't mean they're supposed to pay you.
Yeah, well, I think they should.
So they have I wanted to make a whole name and shame list of people who did swag only rewards for HackerOne, like swag doesn't pay bills kind of thing, right? Yeah. But if you were reporting it to people like Homeland Security or those guys, there's one that I'm not going to, but similarly something was reported to them, which was a major OPSEC failure on their part. And and because I didn't hear back for a while, I specifically said, please don't raid me. You told us to get this. Not my fault. I looked at the wrong part of it. They replied to that. You know what I mean? Someone released a document and said, there's a code in the document. Look at the document. The code is there. I didn't realize there was a picture of some kind of archaic code looking device thing that you had to work out. So I looked at the actual document, and there was metadata in that document that was disclosing names that shouldn't have been disclosed from people who had been making this document on behalf of this agency.
I remember this incident actually. It was one of them like challengey things. Yeah.
Look, you said look at the document. Please don't rate it. But this happened, and they not at all. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have used Twitter as a conduit. It wasn't.
Maybe they silently patched it, and those people have new names and identities.
Yeah. Well, I think that's how they make them. They just spawn one differently.
They spawn a new one. Yeah.
That one was usually generated. But yeah, they don't really come back with anything. Who was it the other day? There was a company again. It might have been PayPal. Have just dropped like major bounty money on people for stuff.
Yeah.
When I see people paying out on 1 minute, I see people paying out, over $1,000 for stored XSS. The next minute, someone's saying like, RCE discovered in DC is a free T-shirt. Like, what are you doing?
I think a lot of the time they just actually don't know. They've got someone triaging these for importance that doesn't actually have a clue, and they're not just trying to fob people off. They're just really incompetent. I don't know. Maybe that's me being optimistic.
It's funny because you go, maybe they're that incompetent, and yet they have the wherewithal to put something such as this on HackerOne. So they have some level of knowledge. They're just not willing to commit to understanding what that knowledge means.
Yeah. Looking for some fun vulnerabilities that I need to check whether they still exist.
Could we create a bidding site called, I don't know, Zero Bay maybe or something, where if you turn around and offer like, there's an RCE in this big multinational. You need to deal with it. And they go, I don't know. I think that's not really a problem. We'll give you like a branded USB or whatever. And you go, well, let's see what the market says about that.
Yeah.
Hop on over to Zero Bay.
It's only way to keep them honest, really. Like have the price discovery a bit more in the open, even if it's mildly simulated. You know, it's for didactic purposes only. See, where did I keep these? Did I hide them somewhere better? In the big folder called XSX, maybe. Oh, there you go. Yeah, okay. That's the name of the. City. I think a lot of these did get fixed when I last checked, but
yeah. The Webmin one has evolved, by the way.
Has it?
Yeah, it's no longer a pipe character. I jokingly said, it's 2019, your password input field should not offer a full Unix environment.
Yeah.
Turns out, don't even bother with a pipe, just put it in backticks.
Yeah.
Someone said that that's working, so that's the, you know.
Yeah, because it would have been a pipe if it was abusing the Perl's, open pipe, but then it would be pipe at the start, so it must have just been that it was passing it to a command, which makes sense because it was actually a backdoor. It wasn't just a silly. It was a plausibly silly backdoor with a really clever compromise of the build environment, so it wasn't actually in the Git repo in the SourceForge repo. Did they actually fix this? Citibank fixed the vulnerability. No, I don't think they did.
Oh, the yeah, bloody hell. There's a big problem in the net HTTP library for HTTP2 in Go. Have you seen that one yet?
No.
There's no ID or anything, but it's essentially a DOS condition for anything that was written in Go which forwarded HTTP2, and that essentially means Kubernetes. So you can have a DOS condition in any open current Kubernetes work until they get. So
there's a bunch of HTTP2 DOS things. Like there's 5 or 6 of them all got released at once, and they're all like dribble. They're like the layer 7 stuff and Ion. Some of the Ion cannons we're using. It was just like a really slow upload. It's like similar kind of methodology, isn't it?
Yeah. There's like a lot of the older stuff has come back in the re-implementation because they've tried to take the lower levels and fudge them into the higher level stuff. So you've got like things people used to attack at layer 3 suddenly viable in. There's like 4 or 5 separate CVEs for this stuff, I think. And one of them was ping flood, and I just sat there and laughed because ping flooding, like, we are the technology with Kubernetes deployed all over ourselves.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, and I'm going to send something that worked 20 years ago in a slightly different fudgy fashion. Your startup VC money goes away.
Well, things get fixed in a sort of brittle way because the actual deep understanding of how things were broken isn't actually assimilated, and then you get a new generation of developers that are fresh out of the University of Stack Exchange, and everything comes back.
The cycle repeats. It's quite good though, because it just means you don't really, almost conceptually, you don't really have to learn too much new. It's similar to the whole, well, the difference between languages is syntax. The difference between vulnerabilities is just time.
Yeah. I think they've actually fixed it. I don't think you can leverage a percentage sign for a memory leak in this single sign-on thing anymore that was being run by a few big banks.
That one.
That was pretty fun. It's like they managed to get URL decoding so wrong that you'd get random strings of people's cookies and stuff coming in. I had so many of them. Like it was just too much hard work to try and disclose them. So I was trying to get Kim Zeta or someone to just do a big thing, do a big story about it to save me the hassle of talking to all these people. Probably worth like a few grand worth of bug bounties in there, but I'm not actually going to interact with humans that much. Maybe you can pay people on Fiverr to do your bug disclosures for you if they're not on one of these programs. Is that acceptable capitalism? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That is a.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think it through too.
That's his own take. I think.
Everyone's winning. Telstra has still got a trivial XSS.
Telstra has a lot of problems.
Yeah, they're the Aussie one, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yes.
They were spaffing out a lot of customer records in 2013. I'm pretty sure it wasn't just. I don't think anything was just. Now that there's all of these laws in place, like.
They're the Bell Canada of the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, Bell Canada. Bell Canada is beautiful. It's like that. Talk about software archaeology.
So good.
Pretty sure like Ryan runs like a good percentage of that.
Yeah, pretty much. He's the reason not being able to colonize outside of the current areas that they've built it.
Yeah.
Every time the infrastructural problem stops.
Yeah.
Canada empty of humans? Yes, probably. Yeah.
Qualcomm have fixed it. Although Qualcomm fixed it. No, I don't think they fixed it. Some of these were quite clever XSSs though. It was like data URI base64 that was then somehow. Yeah, I should revisit these at some point. .com, let's see what they're saying. No, upgraded. Oh, I know which one was fine. Console. Oh, I see what's happened. It's not that it's not it's not that Treasury.gov has improved its software. It's that Chrome no longer lets you use a data URI to XSS.
Yeah.
That's a pain in the fucking ass. Like, fuck's sake, Google, you're kind of messing with my mojo there.
I for the longest time, Firefox used to have sort of little messages saying there was this thing or that thing, right?
Yeah.
But they stopped doing the messages about it, and after a certain update, why isn't any of this testing working? Like, what is the deal? The thing is there, and then there's like 4 or 5 other options that have popped up in about.config. Did you know that so I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure that a default install of Firefox now will not allow bounces through Tor. I can't remember if it was Tor. It was onion addressing. There was some onion address filtering.
Yeah.
Let me find it. I don't understand how they got away with that.
We need to convince everyone to start using Opera again.
Yeah, I did like Opera for a while.
I never actually really used it. I think I had it installed, but it's just it's another set of things to use.
Here we go. If you were to go into Firefox about : and you search for onion, the first of 2 results is network.dns.block.onion. They will block requests out to onion addresses. I don't see how that applies, but
that is what is that? Who's that protecting? People that are using Firefox in Tor rather than the Tor browser, or people that have Tor generally on? And I don't know how it's it's not going to mess with Firefox, is it? I don't really understand. Oh no, but is this not just for their TRR, for their DNS over HTTP? No, because that's not even enabled by default.
No, I'll have to get more information about this.
They just have their own resolver built in. They've stopped trusting people's OS resolvers, which is probably a good thing because a lot of that's actually helping with the firewall bollocks censorship.
So the funny thing is, if you are picky enough to use standalone Tor and you're configuring a standard or modified build of Firefox to deal with it, and some of the settings that you require to set for this force any DNS resolution down the SOCKS pipe that you're pointing it at, so it wouldn't be resolved by the Mozilla browser anyway. So the sheer implementation of Tor on its own is forcing you to have to change the configuration to bypass this anyway.
Yeah.
If you don't have Tor, you can't resolve the onions as it is. But it's
maybe there's a comment thing about it.
Yeah, I'm going to try and and then word dot and then onion.
Block dot onion. Chat about it on Reddit.
Yeah, and on NordVPN customer support, which is ironic. Blocked onion, yeah, here we go.
So it is to prevent an accidental leak, but the first question on Reddit is, prevent what kind of leak? Estimating hidden service traffic by DNS leaks. Oh, yeah.
So as far as it sees here,
from inferring that you're using an onion site because they're looking at your DNS.
Yeah, okay. It's strange though, because it sounds like you can't access any form of onion address in a vanilla install of Firefox without changing this configuration setting.
Test it, I suppose. Fire up the old source, get you some extra points for your ISP social credit.
Well, so here's the weird thing, right? As I've said, I'm using standalone when I'm using Tor in one of these browser builds, and this is set to true, block.onion, and the primary way to pipe down standalone Tor requires you to pipe it down the SOCKS pipe that you configure. Proxy SOCKS 5 is the setting, and that is not blocking me accessing any onions whatsoever. So I don't know, is it because if you don't set that properly, it is offering some kind of request access, and so if you disable it, it is allowing you to bounce outside of Tor. Like, it might be a protection mechanism, I don't know, but I can set this now to go through Tor without changing that setting, and it will let me resolve onions down the SOCKS pipe. So I don't know.
I'm not using the proxy. This is quite funny. That one of the things that came up when I searched for that about config string was the Reddit thing, and the Reddit thing linked to .web, and deep.web has been seized by the Department of Justice.
Has it?
Yes.
Wow.
Europol, Political, Bundeskriminalamt, the National Crown Agency,
so
United
that
States
makes
Postal
sense.
Inspection Service. Why are the post office like, we want to be in with the cyber Policia Federal? And what's this? Cyber Crimes Unit, Washington DC. That must just be the DC police cops.
You know what this will be? This will be an OPSEC failure on their part.
Yeah.
It'll be a specific group or a specific pseudo sub-org, and these are all members of that. So whenever there's an action by the group, they all get.
Yeah.
So this will be some quiet in-group that is tasked with certain projects, whether or not they're involved in that specific operation. But because they put it all there, unless the Postal Service is just a euphemism that they're using, and really they are the creme de la creme. It is just...
No, I think the Post Office is the chief intelligence agency. It goes like FBI, DHS, CIA, NSA, and then you've got the secret satellite one no one talks about, the National Reconnaissance Office, and then you got the Postal Service.
Right,
They're like, they are top dogs. They are running things. That's what I'm trying to find the best.
Well, so that makes sense because I had a tool that they had a pretty up-to-date list of current markets and market ratings and links to them, and my tool stopped working maybe a month ago, and I just wanted to check what markets are doing what. Just output.
Yeah.
This is and it ranked it, so the most used market would apply, kind of thing, just to see who's doing what where. It stopped working, and I looked to check actual deep.web, which was the source of some of the data. It turns out probably why it's not working, right?
Yeah. Bastards. I mean, there was just a news thing, so it must have been associated.
Yeah, they were just sort of they were like the Daily Dot, but for Onion Market.
Yeah. I just discovered though that the domain seizure page is now hosted via Cloudflare, which I find a bit ironic. Cloudflare, we want to rate the open web, but if you want to serve the content that you've stolen the domain from the open web, we will help you do that, Mr. Government. So let's have a moan at South Dakota about that. Have we got lots of whiskey now?
Can you see the water?
We've got lots of whiskey in the mod, yeah.
Can I see the watermark? What?
Can you see the little watermark on the domain seizure page?
Yeah.
There's
in the
person
image.
standing in the background.
There's a person in the background. Oh yeah. Who's that?
That's a cop.
And then there's like
That's
there's like little bits of things that someone has designed. Someone has spent time graphic designing there.
Oh yeah.
So someone have been paid, some amount of figures for.
It looks like it's actually a photo taken inside the Milliways dome.
It probably is actually. Yeah, we've got all the little connecting all the dots there. And some advanced. What's that graphing thing? Multigo.
Oh yeah.
Well, if you can rip this off, would they sue you?
I don't think so.
They
haven't actually marked any copyright on it.
No, I mean, it's public domain if it's US government, content.
And okay, so what you want to do is strip out the superimposing message at the front and just re-engineer it a little bit and start trying to post it around to all of these sites that people take stock hacker images off or stock evil images.
Yeah.
Surprise!
You could make a few bucks actually, because people are always picking them from Shutterstock, and they'll throw you a few cents. I don't know how much journalists pay on direct like this.
Also, I was hoping that we could do one with the Nyana Clava, but I have misplaced the Nyana Clava, and I don't know how that could happen. But I did want that to be like the face of cyber evil for at least.
Yeah, I think Sky has the Nyana Clava.
Okay.
Last I checked, yeah. You were going to make another one, weren't you, slowly?
So I'm currently on a new Nyancat now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the tail with small stitching and large length, the tail alone takes 9 hours. So it's a bit. But I don't mind as long as it's in a good home. I just didn't want it to have been picked up and is in a place somewhere by a random person. As long as we know that somebody who would get use out of it.
Yeah. I think I remember Sky saying on RC that it's in his safekeeping.
I reckon it's probably around about that time to shut down.
Yeah, I need to
wipe memory.
Oh god, I need to get through. I was driving to Essex, right? Sorry, to the undisclosed location where we are, and it says like 40 minutes, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll be here by 20 to 6 and time to chill a bit before we have some smoked meat. And it's very windy roads, like pretty sure the people that first made the roads in Essex were getting paid by the mile, and they were like, "I'll just put a few bit extra angles. What's a good angle? A right angle's a good angle. We'll have one of them every 10
It's
meters.
not like it's a hilly county,
It's
is it?
not, no, there's no hill. Like the usual excuse for the windy roads is fields, but like there's not that many fields.
You might not be that far wrong, because a hell of a lot of the countryside roads were a post-World War II effort to connect the countryside, right? They made a remit to go, we want everywhere in the UK to be easily connectable by roads. So roads were built to such an extent that it cost tons of farms that got separated just by rollout of roads through their land.
Yeah.
And then people said, oh, well, we're now going to annex this side of the road. It's now ours.
Yeah.
It could easily have been the case that the people on the ground building the road was like, oh, mate. No, I ended up being, I know you scoped 10 miles. You go, yeah, because the distance is 10 miles. You go, no, I ended up being 50 minutes.
I don't mind if someone made a bit of extra cash on it, but then I got to a village that had a bridge that is no longer a bridge for the moment, and then it got a little bit complicated going around because it was a bit of a diesel. And then I had to go on a very single track thing. Like, it did warn you that there's oncoming traffic in the middle of the road. It just didn't warn you that they were driving at ridiculous speed. And I was getting like 30 or something. But this guy, he had the swerve. We missed each other by about 6 inches, but he had the time while he was swerving to honk his horn as if it's my fault. I was like, well, it's not 100% my fault. It's definitely one of those two to tango things. And then I've got to do that in the opposite direction and sleep and wake up early and save the world.
Save the world of cybers.
Cybers, yeah. So, that's what we're going to do.
Well, it's been nice chatting again, Path.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I suppose I should do my regular sign-off of anyone who's watching this now or is going to be watching it in the future on replay. Remember to like and subscribe on various things or jump in the Discord. That's discord.gg/Sameapus. And follow the Twitch channel so that you know when we're going live next time. I think we're going to be doing another mod stream again tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. GMT to 6 p.m. So that's 6 p.m. Berlin time to 8 p.m. Where we'll be trying to, cram some more Milliways stuff in. And otherwise, Path will probably be back playing a bit more night team next week, I guess. If you're around.
Yeah, that sounds good. There's some adventure going on this weekend. So if I'm not around, I'm probably not alive. But if I am, then definitely.
Okay, careful with the adventure then.
Good. Yeah, well, the adventure dictates you can't be careful, otherwise you would never do it. So.
One of them, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Be good.
Yeah.
Be well.
And remember, if that's not happened, I want to leave it as being the internet is a CTF. Just as long as people remember that.
Yep.